Aslan, if you could get one idea into the hearts and minds of every single human being on earth, what would that one thing be that would make a huge difference?
That don't even think about going any further than your unconscious mind wants you. You will only succeed basically as much as the idea is by your unconscious mind. Your consciousness can design, you can plan, but what you already have, it is what your unconscious mind wants you to have or wants you to see.
The No Limit Selling Podcast, where mindset meets sales and leadership.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the No Limit Selling Podcast. And today we have the privilege of having Aslan. Aslan is a world traveler seeking the best knowledge around the world. And more importantly, he's a high performance coach that helps people that really want to make a difference in the world break through that one barrier that stops them from reaching their full potential. And I've been waiting for a long time to have Aslan on the show. Aslan, welcome.
Thank you so much, Umar. I'm glad to be here. Anything I can help you with, or let's see. Oh, Umar, also, I haven't done my earpod. Should I, or this is okay?
This is great.
This is great. Okay.
All right. So when we look at human beings, the way I see it is that there's three fundamental things we need to pay attention to. Number one is, why is it that so many people don't reach their full potential? The second one is, happiness. I think that's such a great measure of a wonderful, wonderful life. And three, the dark topic, what's that core fear that drives our behavior, that informs our unconscious mind? So let's start with the first one. The first one is this, why is it that so many people, like most of us, don't reach our full potential? And that breaks my heart when I look around me and I see people that could be happier, more successful, making a big difference in the world, but for some reason, some unforce stops them from showing up in their authentic selves. What is that, and what can we do about
it? Well, the answer basically is very simple. You are exactly where your unconscious mind wants you to be. In other words, if your unconscious mind thinks or decided that this is what you are worthy of, or you deserve, or you are basically allowed to have, you will already have it. You already have it. Wherever you are in your life is basically a measure and a testament to a set of beliefs and ideas and values of where you need to be or where you ought to be. And if there's chaos in your life, there's things are happening and changing, you're basically shifting from one reality to another, you're basically on the way to a reality that your unconscious mind believes to be. So if you think there's a chance that you can go any further than your unconscious mind thinks you should have or you should be, you're basically dreaming, because it's not going to happen. Our unconscious mind has its own idea where you need to be, when you are supposed to be, and it comes in the form of maybe a tidbit, small bits of beliefs or something. Let's say, I deserve this, or I believe that's good for me, or that's bad for humanity, or therefore this, and then therefore that. Basically, simply builds your life, and your reality gets formed. We form our reality based on our unconditional, unconscious conditioning and beliefs.
But you don't understand me, Aslan. Come on, it's the economy. It's my sister who's the show off in the family that gets everybody loves her and she does great things, and people just don't give me a chance. It's not me, Aslan. It's not my unconscious mind. It's all these other things that are out to get me, which is the reality for so many people that it can't be me. It has to be someone else.
That's the reality if you want to operate as a victim perspective. And that's an excuse because in the same reality, there are people who are thriving and who are going against all odds. Yes, they are less, maybe, there are a number of people, because the conditioning is more and more. Basically, anybody. There is a lot of studies have been done, especially in 2008 financial meltdown. A lot of people who were financially successful, all of a sudden they lost everything, and some of them they actually owed millions. And within 3 to 5 years, they all went back to where they used to be, and even more. And also, the other way around also has happened a lot. A lot of people who have been poor who won lottery, and they made all of a sudden 100 million, 50 million, 10 million, whatever it was, the number of dollars that they actually had. And within a very short period of time, they actually went to be poor. And the interesting part is the majority of the people who actually lost everything after they received it from the universe as a gift, they also wish it never actually happened. So they were upset why they got the $50 million as a lottery win. So yes, you can go on and make an excuse. This is my cousin's fault, economy, government, etc., etc. Yes, that might be your excuse, but in the same situation, there are people who are actually able to thrive. And if those rules or those things were real, there should be nobody able to thrive. And that's not the case.
So I think one of the things that's really interesting is that our unconscious mind, it didn't happen accidentally. That it was some of the things that happened to us that informed it, but also it was very much the small decisions that we made along the way that seemed innocuous or more important that created this unconscious mind as the lens that we use to see the world from. And from this lens, it is my sister and it is the economy and it is my boss. And it all seems so real. It does not seem like an excuse at all. And you get trapped in this make-believe world that reinforces the thoughts of the unconscious mind, that proves it each and every day. But you need something profound to pierce the veil. It's like the Matrix. Would you like to take this pill or would you like to take that pill? One way is going to let you see reality and the other one will let you stay in your delusion. And most of us stay in our delusion because no matter how bad it is, it's certainly a lot less scary than change.
It's easy not to be responsible for your own misery. If I am basically getting tortured and then find out the one that tortures me is myself, is really hard reality to swallow. You gotta be, what? Are you telling me that I'm the one doing this to myself? Well, yes. Unfortunately, we are our own masters. And the unconscious mind of our basically being, we have two mind, which is one is the conscious mind, which is the unconscious mind, basically is running the show behind the scene and is invisible, unseen, and we think it doesn't exist. And if it doesn't exist, try to control your heartbeat, try to control your blood pressure or not to digest food you ate. It will do it because it believes it's good for you. It believes its job to do something. And if you can communicate to your unconscious mind and invite him to do otherwise, it can, if it believes it's beneficial to you. And there is this narrative that the road to hell is paved by good intention. So every good, everything that we do to ourselves is always aligned with an intention that this is good for us. Okay? And there is somewhere, there's a goodness. Now people say, not being successful, how is that be any good? Well, maybe the good thing is about it is that you don't have to explain yourself to your family, you don't have to compete, you don't have to be standing out and making others look Not successful, it could be a small thing. But believe me, there is always a good intention. That means
So, absolutely. And oftentimes, that keeps us prisoner. We were talking about our unconscious mind. We were talking about how it creates our reality. And it's like, well, okay, Umar, maybe, but it sounds like BS to me. I'm going to put a link to this TED Talk in our show notes. This guy comes on. He is the guy that does the crossword puzzle for, I think it was the New York Times, but it was a major newspaper in the US. And the guy comes out and the guy tells some stories about different people and different things. Then he invites someone to come on stage, and he has an envelope with a drawing. Into the coloring books that kids have, this was a large envelope with a image, and he's got an image on the on this clipboard, and he has this random person come out from the audience. Says, "Okay, there are 5 things on this clipboard, and I want you to just color each one with a different color." And she gets the owl, and she can pick any color she wants. She colors it yellow, and she gets another thing, colors it different color. And the guy says, "Now let me reveal what I've got here." And he opens the envelope, and all the colors that he predicted she would use, she used. And he says, "By the way, if you look underneath your seats, is today's edition of the newspaper. I had to submit this puzzle in 2 months ago. And 5 across is rooster, 2 down is owl. And basically, I put all that stuff there and the colors next to it." And what the guy ended up revealing was this: in the stories that he told, he hinted that the owl should be yellow, but he didn't actually use that word. But subconsciously, he actually gave that suggestion. And so this is somebody proving to an audience of a couple of thousand people that I, as the entertainer, can influence each and every one of you so you don't even have your own thoughts. Just think about how much more you can deceive yourself when the person controlling you is inside your mind. So it's a very real thing, and it seems like a reality to us. So, Aslan, we both share this friend, happens to be my wife, Sheena. She told me the story that many years ago, at one particular moment in time, she had $40,000 in cash in her hand, just sitting there. Something profoundly changed within her when that happened. Her relationship to money just changed like that. And what changed was, there's more than enough money in the world for me to do anything that I want. If I want to help anybody, I can help them. There'll never be a shortage of money. And before that moment, it was like, you got to work for money, you got to work hard for money. But that having 40 grand that was hers in her hand, not 40 grand in the bank account, but in the palm of her hand, changed something. Now, there could have been another human being that would have had the same experience, would have had the $40,000 in their hand, and the thought would have been is, oh, someone's going to rob me. Oh, I better hide this. I better do this. So events happen to us, and sometimes we make the wrong meaning, or a meaning that doesn't help us as a human being reaching our potential, but another meaning comes up. Both have positive intention. So what are your thoughts on that? And how can we make better decisions on those pivotal moments that could be a life-changing moment for us, either to improve our life or to send it down into the pit of despair?
Yes, basically, that decision didn't happen in a vacuum. She has had made other decisions before, and there were other beliefs that they were supporting, and if she come to a point, we actually materialized $40,000 in her hand and said, see, there is enough money in this universe for me. I can do anything I want. I don't have to be in poverty anymore. I don't have to be in lack. It is those little decisions that she has made prior that most likely has caused her to make that decision. But I call this a human effect. You know, we can actually predict a trajectory of a ball. Let's say football, you put there and you hit it at a certain angle with a certain velocity, with the exact same place, and it will go and fall exactly to the same spot every single time.
Yes.
But I want to apologize to animal lovers. It's not by no means no disrespect or harm to any animals. But if you replace the ball with a cat, every single time you hit that cat is not going to be exactly the same place. It will go somewhere differently because
Yes.
the cat has the ability to respond where the ball doesn't have the consciousness requires to respond. And this is the humanity. And this is exactly what I was talking. The decision was not made in the vacuum. And that's why Sheena, which I adore, and it's your beautiful wife, is able to make that decision or allowed to make that decision based on her preconditioning and decisions and beliefs that she has had prior to that moment, and where somebody else would have made it some completely, and it could be only one little thing that'd be different. It would be completely different destination. I have $40,000. What am I doing? This doesn't. This is. I don't deserve it. I should spend it. I should get rid of it. And this is happening all the time. This is happening every day, every moment. People overspend. People oversave. People don't invest. People, maybe invest when they shouldn't be investing, or when they should be investing, they don't invest. Those decisions are coming because what they believe they're worthy of and what they believe they deserve and what is in the condition of the universe. If I was grown in a family, in a household, that my mother and father would say things like, getting money is harder than getting water out of a rock. If you squish the rock and you got water, that would be easier than earning money. That would be one belief that I specifically, my mother would say that a lot. Or my dad used to say, money is not doesn't grow on trees. So
Yes.
you don't think that you can go and just grab everything you want. It was so bombarded from that childhood. I was like 1 year old, 2 years old, asking, I want a chiclet. And my mom would say this to me. Oh, what do you think? Money is like grows on a tree? No. Okay. And when I was 2 years old, I didn't understand that she's just making a metaphor. She's just saying it to just say it. And I took it as a reality. And oh yeah, money is hard to earn. Money doesn't grow on trees. Money is this way. Money is hard. And I grew up thinking that, and I basically had to defy that. I thought I had to work so hard. I had to be working day and night and struggle, and only with a struggle. Oh, another thing my dad used to say, only hard work you can actually make something good happen. Only if you really suffer, only suffering. So I had these different formulas that was hooked up into my unconscious mind, that the pathway that I actually would act had to run through these filters. And if I look back on my life, I remember I worked from when I was 16 years old. I worked nonstop till I was somewhere like 27. I didn't take a day off, single day off. I worked 7 days, every single day, 10, 12 hours, and I attribute the success to that. I wasn't very successful compared to many others who did maybe 10% of that. But I thought I was emulating a success. I was being successful. Being successful is not hard. In fact, you really have to screw it badly not to be successful, because the world is designed to make you successful. And the whole excuse that the world is this way, my sister, my mother, my father, economy, the government, the governor, the president, prime minister, Trudeau. I hear this a lot now. Oh, Trudeau, what is he done doing? Okay, Trudeau is done terrible. But in the exact same time frame, there are people who have tried under the same government of Trudeau, then others have suffered. So all suffering is self-imposed. All success is self-imposed. All happiness is self-imposed, and all success. Like I was, people say, "Oh yeah, it's easy for you to say that." Because you're not the one who got beaten and robbed. Oh, what are you talking about? I was walking in Argentina in a bus station and looking on my phone for my Uber driver, and somebody on a bicycle came and grabbed my phone and gone. And I could be going, "Oh my God, my phone!" Instead, I stood there. I was just, blessing him and say, "God, forgive him for what he's done, and send him love, and say that I hope this money change his life for better. I don't want any karma for this person." And I sat in the taxi, and the taxi, "Where are you going?" I said, "I don't know. I can't find my Uber anymore. My phone got just stolen, so take me back to this hotel." And the guy looked at me, "Are you kidding me? Your phone got stolen and you're smiling?" I said, "Yeah, my phone just got stolen." So that reaction versus the other reaction, it was because I knew nothing bad will happen to me. I knew universe will never send me anything that wasn't good for me. And
Right.
that was a decision, that was a belief, and I had consciously worked on it because that's not how my mother and my father brought me up. I noticed that I was making excuses. "Oh, see, they robbed me. Poor me." And then, "Oh, I can't be successful." I've noticed, and I worked on the way, all the way to this point, that I am responsible for everything. Even the worst thing that happened to me is good for me, and I am the one doing it. And later on, I found out actually those were good things. I got robbed. It was a very good thing. It was not a bad thing, And
It's all about our beliefs and how we see the world. I just want to backtrack a little bit before we move on. The reason rich kids become rich is that at their dinner table, they're discussing finances, investment. Money is not a taboo word because for a lot of people, you don't discuss money. It's embarrassing. Don't share it with people. And people in rich families is just a tool, and it's just an everyday thing, and it changes the way those kids grow up and their relationship with money. The other thing was Sheena with her $40,000 going, "Wow, there's more than enough money in the world." Right now, there's people with $20 million in the bank that are convinced it could be taken at any moment, and they live in this lax state. Will they grow the money? They will. Will they lose it? Probably not. But it's all how you show up in the world. So, Aslan, we were talking about, the universe is there to teach you lessons, and you just need to be aware of that. So you had told me a story a while ago when you were going into business in the rug business, and your partner basically ripped you off, and a massive opportunity opened up. Why don't you share that story?
Well, it's happened a few times, but
we ended up going to the auction.
And let me tell you this. I can look this moment. I'm 60 years old, and I've been in business since I was maybe 18, 19 years old, and I started working at the age of 16. I can tell you, in this 44 years, nothing has happened to me that was bad. Everything was good. But at the moment,
it was horrible.
It was horrible. I thought, "Oh my God, this is the end of the world." Well, there was a gentleman who I came to Canada. I didn't really speak much English, but my dad was in rug business in Iran, and he kind of, talked me into it. "Why don't you ask your dad to send me these rugs?" And say, "Well, how do I know you're going to pay for it?" And he goes, "Oh, no, you can be a partner. You can be doing this, that." He started talking to me in a very deceiving tone. And of course, a young man I was, and a naive person I was. I talked my dad into, buying massive amount of, more than his way more than his capital, and providing these gentlemen the rugs. When the rugs arrived, the guy disappeared, and he didn't show up for 6 months, and I was just not able to sell it because he asked me to bring things that they were not sellable easily to anybody else but him. So he wanted me to be stuck, and he wanted me to feel the pain for 6 months. Then he came back and he made an offer which was costing like 40% less than it was costing me. Basically he wanted to actually get a discount. I said, but I thought you're going to give me profit. I thought, and he said, no, these are not easily sellable. Nobody can sell these anyway. We can sell them because of the unique business we're in. And I said, oh, really? Okay. And then what am I going to do with this? So I was just basically desperate. I was totally desperate at the moment, thinking, where am I going? What am I doing? How am I going to be able to pay my dad back, because the payment was due already way before.
Yeah. Hold that thought there. Hold that thought. So it's not only I need to pay the person that's financing this. This person is my father, which adds a massive amount of stress. Please go on.
So I was basically desperate, and I was worried. And then what happened? Actually, a guy who was working for them before found out that I'm in that situation, and he offered to help me. And the help was basically helping me to learn how to become an auctioneer. I said to him, look, I'm only 1 year in Canada. I don't speak much English, and I have no understanding Canadian business. He says, all that you can learn, no problem. Come, and so me and him, God bless his soul, and I'm sure he's still alive and thriving somewhere because he's got good karma, from me at least. He was sitting with me every day, every week, a couple of times, 2-3 hours, and we were practicing. And then he would give me homework to do till next time I come back. And then I went and did an auction, and it was I barely spoke much English. I didn't speak English, but I actually knew enough to say the things I am supposed to say in front of people and sell it. And the first auction I did, it didn't make me any money. I lost money, but it gave me the confidence.
For a second, gave you confidence. But the one thing it did was you didn't die. And because oftentimes we think, I'm going to be destroyed, I'm going to die, and somehow you didn't die, but you learned valuable information that allowed you to do your next step.
Actually, this part of it might be very interesting, because when the time came that we were preparing the auction room and the time came that I have to go on the stage, I went to go on the stage and my knees were shaking. I was trembling.
Yeah.
And then I said to that guy, I said, Mohammed, you're going to have to do this. I'm not going to be able to do it. He said, no. I will never be able to do it. And so anyway, he's passing the mic to me, I'm passing it to him. You're going to have to do it. No, you have to do it. And then he said to me, and he was actually a devout Muslim, very devout Muslim. And he said, don't worry, I'll get you a double shot of whiskey. So he got me a glass of whiskey on an empty stomach. I drink the whiskey, and all of a sudden I didn't care. I could go on the stage, and I went on the stage. I was kind of loosey-goosey, and then after like an hour, when that wore off, I saw myself in the middle of it, and I'm doing okay. That whole fear disappeared, whole outlook disappeared. Actually, I thought I was born to do this. That belief, I was born to do this. I just found my gift. And ever since then, I'm on either stage selling. I used to be the stage selling from an auction point of view, or or group selling and stuff like that, or doing seminars, conferences, and speaking engagements. And when I get on this stage, it's my home, my second home I'm getting onto. And this belief that I found over there, which it shifted by having that little thing. I'm not suggesting anybody do that. I'm just saying that's how it happened to me. But it basically altered my belief. Holy shit, I can do this. Not only I can do this, I can do this very well. I can do this because when I kind of found myself drifting out of being drunk a little bit, I saw people were laughing their hearts out. I was that being so funny. I said, what am I doing? Everybody loves me. So it was great. And then ever since that time, I go on the stage, people love me. People just, I get always a standing ovation. I get always being welcomed and cherished as a speaker. And that's how it started. That's how it all started, as a being desperately, really in a very bad place. I was in such a bad place. In that day, I was willing to die and not do that. But I had to go through it, and I did it. And when it shifted my thing, and then opened up an entire new way of being. And within 6 months, I had my auction company going. I had actually a couple of trucks on the road. And I was competing with the guy who actually was planning to hurt me or take advantage of me. And eventually he had to shut down because I took over the market. I did better business than him. I was a better businessman than him, and for obvious reasons and maybe karmic reasons.
Nice. So what's kind of interesting is this is a very familiar arc of a story. And the arc of the story is that you don't know what you're doing. You're forced through circumstances to face your fear. And at that moment, many people would step off the stage, don't do it. Or had your friend said, okay, Aslan, not a problem, I'll take over, your life would have gone in a totally different direction. But when you faced your fear and you got to the other side with help of a little bit of whiskey, but there's always a wise person that comes up. I mean, that's the Joseph Campbell hero's journey that gives you the knowledge you need to go through the other side. When you get to the other side, what you realize is that there's no fear there anymore, because at least from my point of view, something happens to us that has a high emotional content, because there's an event with a high emotional content that we make a belief out of it. And the belief could be I don't deserve success, which is a total BS belief, because I've got 7 years of life before me where I was successful at getting candy, going to the playground, making friends. And all of a sudden, all of that is discounted. And this new belief, which is made in ether, I don't deserve success. And then the next time I go to answer a question for a teacher and they don't pick me first for the answer, they pick someone else, that belief says, aha, see, even she. It was not the case. It was like, I already know Aslan knows the answer. I'm going to let this other person go. But we change the way we see reality. And then to protect this lie, we get more and more little beliefs around it. So it becomes so scary that we don't go near it. And the only way we do is when it's a do or die situation and we're forced into it, to either face the fear or run away. And if you face it, you get down to the bottom where there's nothing there. So your story is very inspirational. But let's say there was someone today that's ready to face their fear and go through the valley of death to get to the other side. What would be the 3 or 4 steps that you would get them to do that would allow them to have the courage to go through the valley and get to the other side?
Yeah, actually, that's what I do for a profession. Right now, I help people. One of the first thing I do, I look at their fears, because fear of embarrassment, fear of not being accepted, fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, fear of not being successful, fear of failure, all these fears actually play a huge role on your decisions to take a step forward or not. And the fact that I was not able to get on this stage was fear of being embarrassed, fear of making a fool of myself. And the alcohol actually turned that around. And I was making fool of myself, but when I came kind of back with it, they were laughing at me. I thought, oh my God, they're having a great time. So that I kind of fooled myself, and the new belief formed. The step-by-step approach, there's many different ways to do this. As I said, there's 100 ways to skin the cat. The one that I do for me, that I actually connect to my center, the core.
And what is center? Like define center.
Okay, your center would be the point below your navel, and it's a dantian. Okay, and breathe through that and expand it so it kind of expands beyond your being. So then your awareness is sort of emanating from your core. Okay? Then I let's say I have a fear of rejection, okay, or fear of let's talk about fear of rejection.
That's a good example.
Then I bring an example of that fear. The worst example, or if it's happening already now, like for instance, I'm in a
the worst outcome. The worst outcome will be I'll be humiliated. No one will want to talk to me. That kind of thing, you mean?
That person is just in front of me and he does something and I feel rejection. Okay, because it's all a mirage. It's only happening here in this body. It's not out there. Maybe my mate is saying something that because she's tired, because she has no interest right now at this moment. But that fear turns it into she wants to reject me and blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I bring that scenario in front of me and I invite it. I say, come to me. Instead of, because normally the first thing you do, you see the thing and you want to run away. That's your first response, is collapse your center, run for safety, or freeze, or, fight. Yeah. So we get 1 or 2, 3, 4 responses. I mean, there's some people say 3, some people say 4. The next one's 4. We'll just say, okay, I'm out. But I purposely, through that center and through breathing through that center, I invite it. So I'm doing the opposite of what I'm conditioned to do. So I say, come to me. I want to see what's the worst you're going to do to me. And I invite you to teach me the lesson you're here to teach me. So I'm basically preconditioned and pre-framing that fear that's out there, that is scaring me every single time, is something to teach me. So I'm framing it. So I'll say, okay, teach me, give me your gift, or come and show me how much you're going to hurt me. So when I do that, and it comes and force it to bring it and breathe through it, it doesn't even last maybe 2 minutes, 1 minute.
Yeah.
And then the fear dissolves. I don't have that fear anymore. Then I go other situations and I see it generalized already. If it's not, I'll help it to happen. Other places I have fear of rejection. Maybe I don't call my customer to see, I remember I didn't call so-and-so because I was worried. I don't have that fear anymore. Boom, and you can basically take an entire category, like fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of abandonment, fear of not being loved, fear of anything, okay, and melt it down in basically less than 30 seconds to a minute. And it's amazing. So I do this with my clients. Actually, that's every person that I work with, almost, I always find what are their fundamental fears, and I make them to go through this exercise where they can melt it down. And now when in the absence of that fear, they're able now to believe and envision a better future. So sometimes you say, well, what's the best future? And most people go into this and I don't want to go too far because I'm afraid. Okay, you have that fear. What kind of fear is that? Okay, you fear I'm not deserving. I'm not fear of anything. Fear of punishment. My parents were the true believer. If something good happens, something bad will happen. So when something good happened to me, boom, 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 I was afraid something bad is about to happen. So guess what? I was looking for it. I was looking at a target on my forehead. Hit me. Something bad.
Actually, you're not looking just for it. You end up attracting it. Because when you're looking for the shadows, you're going to freaking find it.
My last book's title is Unfuck Your Life. And I say in the chapter, the reason why you chose this name, because you're fucked. Because you're not the one making that decision. It's happening automatically. It's happening from inside. And for you to be able to turn this around, all you have to do, take time and just tweak anywhere that might be a nut or a system failure is happening, identify. It's like computer scientists would do that too. The computer doesn't work or the program doesn't work properly. You trace it to a line of code that's causing that. And then changing that line of code, it will improve it to the next level. And then you go till you hit another barrier. So, okay, next, until you get where you want. And basically, that's how I chose to do it for me. But there's a million ways you can do this, by the way. You can create other ways, which, 10 other ways I can do it. But this one way, I like it because it's very balanced, very centered, and also, so instead of something that you're afraid facing you, instead of getting off your center, it actually conditions you move into your center and open and be vulnerable. And you know what? When something that happens to you, and instead of you collapsing and being afraid, you become vulnerable and open, the other person now all of a sudden owns the fear. There is a very interesting scientific exam in Japan. Scientists physically have moved the mice's brain, the fear nerve, the nerve that actually causes the fight and flight response. So these mice are innocently vulnerable, and when they see a cat, they think they're a savior. Oh, lovely, And when they throw the mice like this in the cat's cage, cat not only doesn't attack him, the mice, not only doesn't eat him, actually is very afraid of the cat. Cat goes to the corner and kind of looks at the mice poking at him. Come, let's play. I'm Mickey Mouse. And the cat doesn't know what kind of animal is this. And this is to me true testament of once you lose the fear, your conditioning is shifted and the universe deals you different cards. And it's your job. It's your job. And even happens to me at this level. And I gotta tell you some things, like I met this beautiful lady, and there were times that I was going through and I felt fear. And the minute I felt it, I immediately knew if I don't deal with it, it's gonna slaughter me. So I sat and 2-3 hours finding it and finding every piece of it and basically center it around it. And then the whole thing falls apart, and then you're going to be able to go forward in your life in a much different way. Much different way. Just imagine that mice walks into a cage full of cats, And these cats are all standing in the corner, and it becomes basically the queen or the king of the cats. It is possible. They have scientists in Japan, and there's a very famous video. If I find it, I'll send it to you. You can maybe
add it to the show notes.
Small clip of.
Brilliant. Aslan, it's been a joy chatting with you and getting to see your wisdom on how to live the life you were always meant to live. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, I have a website called resultdoctor.com, or you can basically send me a WhatsApp message on 416-258-0038, and I'll be happy to talk to anyone who wants to contact me.
Brilliant. Thanks. Stay on here. We're going to chat afterwards, after the show. And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in.
The No Limit Selling Podcast, where mindset meets sales and leadership.